Here. Okay, thank you very much. If you'd all stand and pledge allegiance to
which stands one nation under justice for all.
Good evening, Mayor and Vice Mayor and all of our commissioners, and to our to be here on behalf of Liberal Ministerial Alliance. Thank you this afternoon for this time, this moment. We thank you, Lord, for all those that are gathered here for the to flow in this place, Father. We pray for understanding. In the name of the Lord Jesus, we thank you so much, Father, that we can come and salute and do pledge allegiance with us. Be with all of our families. Be with our commissioners. Is in the air. There are possibilities in the air, but we thank you for this now in the name of the Lord.
Hey, Brad. We turned it on. Okay, we've turned off that fan. It's pretty loud. So, item number 1 is awards. Do we have any awards, presentations? And I'll read that. Proclamation from October 2020 and recognize people with disabilities who make important contributions is vital to the independence. Whereas the landmark Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 removed barriers to use their gifts and talents in the workplace. And whereas the United States Congress by 1945 has designated October as the month to recognize the contribution to ensure their full inclusion in the workforce. Recognition to those who directly help people with disabilities gain to create productive and satisfying. Now, therefore, I, Jeff Parsons, as National Disability Employment upon the citizens of Liberal to observe the month with urge the citizens of Liberal to seek information from those organizations, professionals who support individuals with intellectual. We have somebody here to. There you are.
Hi. Carter, the Senior Community Relations Manager. Registered nurse that we have on staff, and I just want to thank you so much. Allows us to shine a light on a section of our community that is not always considered. Diverse needs secure those jobs in our community. Of all people with disabilities, those with have a harder time gaining employment, as many people. It is proven that community members with disabilities have goals. They can benefit a local business, abilities, and a community that is willing to partner with us to achieve real life. Employment Awareness Month very much. We appreciate it.
Okay, item number 2, approval of the agenda.
Yeah, that's proclamation.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. I thought we were doing that.
Which two groups?
All right, well, we'll do another. We have another.
I missed this one I said we did.
Oh, okay, all right. We have another proclamation, Liberal Kansas Rotary District Conference Proclamation. Whereas the Liberal Rotary Club was chartered in November 1st of 1921 and is part of Rotary International, the world's first and one of the largest nonprofit service organizations. And whereas Liberal Rotary is in Rotary District 5680, comprising 60 clubs in Kansas and Oklahoma. And whereas there are over 1.2 million Rotary Club members comprised of professional and business leaders in over 35,000 clubs in more than 165 countries. Whereas Liberal Rotarian Ivanhoe Love is the 2022 District Governor of District 5680 and one of only 4 Liberal Rotarians to ever serve as District Governor. And whereas District 5680 will hold its annual conference in Liberal on October the 21st through October the 23rd, 2022, bringing 150 Rotarians and guests from all over the district to Liberal. And whereas the Rotary motto, service above self, inspires members to provide humanitarian service, encourage high ethical standards, and promote goodwill and peace in the world. And therefore, I, Jeff Parsons, Mayor of the City of Liberal, hereby proclaim October 22nd, 2022 as District 5680 Rotary International Day in Liberal, and encourage all citizens to join me in recognizing Rotary District 5680 for service to improving the human condition in Southwest Kansas, the Oklahoma Panhandle, and our country and the world.
Just something real quick.
Sure.
Last couple of years have been really good years for Liberal Rotary Club. Last year we celebrated our 100th anniversary, which is quite a mile marker. This year we'll have the Rotary District Conference here in a couple of weekends, and that only happens when you have a Rotary District Governor who oversees the 60-some clubs in the western half of Kansas and Oklahoma Panhandle. We only have had 4 district governors in the history of the Liberal Rotary Club, and this year the district governor is Ivanhoe Love. And so that's why we're having the district conference here. So we appreciate this recognition and your support. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you, Alan. Okay, item number 2, approval of the agenda.
Make a motion, we approve the agenda as printed. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Item number 3, minutes from the September 27th, 2022 regular meeting.
Make a motion, we approve the minutes from September 27, 2022 regular meeting.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you very much. Item number 4, items from citizens. We have any citizens that would like to address the commission? I know we have some, but we're going to hold off for the other item here. All right, thank you very much. Items from groups. Any groups like to address the commission? Okay. Item number 6, the consent agenda. All items are considered to be routine by the City Commission will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless the commission member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered in its normal sequence on the agenda. So we've got 7 airport leases and 1 cereal malt beverage license application.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as printed.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. Item number 7 is an executive session.
I move to go into executive session for 5 minutes to discuss potential litigation pursuant KSA 75-4319B2, which is the attorney-client exception under the Kansas Open Meetings Act, and include City Attorney Kane and City Manager Rusty Varnado to the executive session. We will go in at 5:41 and exit at 5:46. Second.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right, thanks. Okay, do we need to take any action based on the executive session?
No action.
All right. Okay, item number 8, ordinance number 4585, special use for 333 West 18th Street, AT&T Tower on the Liberal Country Club.
All right, so Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, just to give everybody the common understanding, the format of this discussion is those who are opposing the special use permit will have 10 minutes to address the commission. I will give you a 1-minute warning. When their time is expired, those in favor of addressing the commission regarding the issue will also have 10 minutes. I'll give you the 1-minute warning. The commission can hold their questions to the end, or they can interject during your discussion. Once that is complete, the issue will be tabled until October 25th meeting, when we have a full commission seated, and there's a couple of reasons for that. One is the voting requirements, and 2 is although we have a certified search, about a handful of properties were left off of that certified search, and we had to re-notify those individually. And in that notification, in order to give them time to express their thoughts to you, we set the matter for the 25th. Did I miss anything? Okay.
Okay. Keith?
Okay, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, before you is ordinance 4585, request for a special use to place a 150-foot cellular tower at 333 West 18th Street on the Liberal Country Club. The property is zoned R3 multifamily residential. The tower would be allowed with a special use permit. It did go before the Planning and Zoning Commission September 8th and was voted for approval and forwarded to you for your consideration. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you, Keith. All right, those who would like to present, Brad, I think you are going to lead the pack here.
Okay, my name is Brad Carr. I'm a lifetime resident of Liberal, Kansas, born and raised. Came back, started raising our family here. My wife and 3 daughters are here as well tonight. I live at 1841 North Calhoun. This is right behind where the proposed tower is set to go up. We moved in December of 2013. My wife and I made that choice to move to get to a school. And at that time, we were pregnant with our 3rd daughter, so we got looked into buying a bigger home for that reason. Also for location, you know, obviously they're on the club, they're on the golf course, great place to go buy a home. And I was at the meeting for the planning and zoning, and I'm gonna go back over some of this with you guys. With the special use permit, you have a checklist, and line number 2, you got conservation of property values. I'm a banker here in town. I've been there the last 11 years. Do anything from little small consumer lending all the way to an ag, commercial, do home loans all the time. So I have well versed in this. I was able to find on the National Association of Realtors website. So this wasn't anything Brad Carr created. This was a research done in 2019 by 2 gentlemen in Georgia. Their research showed that they took 10 years of sales and found a discount in sales prices up to 7.6%. And this started from the tower out to 1,500 feet. I did some easier math. I didn't go out 1,500 feet. That would obviously cover quite a large area. I went around the 50 homes that were notified that were within the 200 feet. I went conservatively. I went and I took a 5% decrease in value. You take 50 homes at an average price of $250, again, pretty conservative value there with the way the home values are going right now. And city loses $625,000 worth of property value in homes. That's roughly $12,000 a year in collectible tax revenue. At the original meeting, I had a letter from Ms. Tanya Colvin. She sold plenty of real estate up around the club, is well versed in it. In between then, I got a letter here, October 4th, 2022. It says, to the Honorable Jeff Parsons, Mayor to the City of Liberal, Kansas. Dear Mr. Mayor, it has been brought to my attention the city is considering issuing a special use permit to allow communications tower to be constructed in the vicinity of backyard of 1841 North Calhoun, Liberal, Kansas. Speaking from the viewpoint of an individual who has been involved in all aspects of real estate for the past 50 years, I am of the opinion if this were to happen, it would diminish the value of the above-mentioned property. Sincerely, Don Witzke. Don and I have had our arguments on different real estate cases or issues that we've been dealt with. Don said, yeah, Brad, I see your point. Absolutely. So he put a letter together for me. 2 local realtors here that are well-versed in our market. Go down checklist number 3, protection against fire and casualties. The safety of my kids. The kids around the school there at MacArthur, we're just a block away. Let's see. Obviously, I want to keep my kids safe. When the schools were being constructed, there was a ton of construction material back there, a large amount of dirt. They loved it in the wintertime. Went and slid down the big deal of mud, more or less. Didn't have much snow, but had a great time on it. Then, south part of town, there's a tower. Come to find out, we had a young single mom climbed up that tower and took her life. Took her life off of that tower and had that. Then come to find out, I spoke with a gentleman who's works with the local telecommunications company here. He built towers for 10 years. So he's well versed in building these. And I'll come back later too, dealing with some RF engineering with him. His safety concern with them was ice buildup. I had never considered ice buildup on one of these towers. It was mentioned that they are approved for up to ½ inch of ice and so much wind. But what happens when that ice starts to thaw? He said those things become yard darts. They start coming off the tower and better have a hard hat on. He said they had a local co-worker that was in a pickup. It was probably 10, 15 years ago. He said, icicle came off, went through the windshield of the truck, through his dash. So obviously very lethal, could become very lethal with the ice coming off of that. And so I was grateful that he shared that with me. I had never thought of ice coming off. I found an article. This was, let me find it again. It was with OSHA. And the velocity those things can come off with, basically coming at you like a 90-mile-an-hour fastball from a major league pitcher coming at you. Pretty much no more fun in the backyard for my kids if they get a snow day. Proximity to my house, again, I am 55 to 60 feet to my fence line. That article stated that with the wind of 60 to 80 mile an hour, those icicles come off 90 to 100 feet. So that's in my backyard. The house, measured to the corner of my home, is 180 feet. So the fall zone of this tower is also a concern of mine. Happen to be out there, God forbid the thing falls. It's going in my backyard. I guess we'll just sit there and watch it fall, or hopefully nobody's in the backyard when it happens. Also, if we'd bought that house, we got an extra lot. If I ever wanted to expand on, build a pool, do whatever in the back, I've got another lot. My property is very sought after because of the roof line. Everybody wanted to build a shop. So any expansion I've got that tower looking to fall into it. And it's unfortunate that I'd have to live with that. I'm not the only neighbor. There's the Peterson home. They're within 50 to 60 foot to their fence, 150, 180 to their property line, or the house. They're unable to be here. She's not feeling good still. But there's other neighbors there in the area that are concerned about that. Your checklist 10 through 13. Avoid inappropriate uses. promote value and character of existing improvements, promote improvements that keep with accepted planning principles, provision of orderly and proper urban renewal, development, and growth. I don't believe when they developed this site that they were looking to stick a big cell tower where everybody could go look at this. The water tower has been mentioned that, oh, that's a great eyesore. Everybody loves to look at their local water tower. They paint them, they put names on them. This cell tower, I've got an image in there from the one that's down south at the mall. That's the same cell tower, it's 150 foot. And I've also got an image there where that truck is in the back. That's approximately where that tower would sit. So I've got 2 bedrooms, I got 2 baths, I got a kitchen, I got a den. Basically every room in my house, that window is gonna be looking at that beautiful tower. So I don't think this is gonna keep the value and character of my home, as well as others around me. A cell tower, it's a commercial piece of equipment, guys. Doesn't fit aesthetically into a residential area. That's why a lot of people, there's other towns, and I'll get to those, that they prefer them to be in a commercial area or ag, where you could build around them, or they actually look like they fit the piece there and not in a residential. I'm obviously not completely against it.
1 minute.
Yeah. I know we need this kind of infrastructure and this technology, so I've gone and looked. Rusty mentioned there was a guy by the name Don Zimmer. He's got a piece of commercial property, put it down. They don't have to go get a special use permit. They don't have to go through this. Go get it, go put it down, it's ready to go. The previous vote, it was voted down because guess what? There was residential people that didn't want to look at that in their front backyard. And so we're back again. I don't understand why you'd want to go back and fight the same residential spot. There's a gentleman north of Tucker. He's got a spot that'd be willing to take it. I've met with the guy that's built these. He talked to me, says, I dealt with RF engineers. It can be moved. If they moved from far western, you could get to the eastern part, northern part, and it would cover it. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time. 10 minutes flew by, but I appreciate it.
Thank you, Brad. You guys have questions for Brad while he's close
Do you
by?
want to ask them now, or do we want to wait till the end?
I want to wait till.
You want the end? Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Brad.
Sir?
Good evening, and thank you for your time this evening. My name is Glenn Clockey, and I am representing AT&T in this matter. I also have Kate Abelshon here, which would be AT&T's attorney, in case there's any questions for her. So I'm going to go through this as quick as possible. What we're asking for is a 150-foot communication tower. It will be a monopole type tower. We do have an area that we've leased that is 70 foot by 70 foot, that all the equipment for this tower will be in that 70 foot by 70 foot area. The fence that we're putting up around this tower is going to be a Simtech fence that will look like brick. They're aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't look like a fence. So I want to give a little history of how we came to this location. We did have a site that came through the city about 2.5 years ago. We worked with the city quite extensively on that location, and ultimately it was denied at the city commissioners meeting. So we were regrouping, trying to see what we were going to do as far as were we going to come back and submit for that site again, because it met with the city's code. The next day I was given a call by the then vice mayor, and he said that there was a location that he wanted me to look at. It was a country club. He said the city would support it. After having many meetings with our client, because the site was being moved a little bit, AT&T said, let's go if this is the location the city wants, then we should go with that location. So we did. I met with the country club, was able to negotiate a lease with the country club, and during this process I was keeping the city involved, trying to get their input, making sure we were doing what the city had asked us to do, because AT&T needs this site. AT&T wouldn't be coming back for a second location. They do need this site. They have a huge hole in that area that needs to be filled. So we did work with the city. There was some turnover within the city while all this was going on. COVID hit. I couldn't travel. I couldn't come down here, but they did try to contact the then planning zoning manager who left, and then there was an interim, and I met with him, tried to get some input from the city. We decided that we just needed to move forward with our application in hopes that the city was on board. I even tried to contact the then vice mayor. He and I had a couple conversations after we had talked, and then he just didn't answer his phone anymore. So I didn't know what was going on, but AT&T was like, we need to move forward. So that's how we wound up at this location. This site works for AT&T. We need to be in this location. The coverage objectives for this site it's a capacity site. We're trying to cover residential areas. We realize that, if we could shoot in from a commercial area, we would. The location is critical. So this is why this site was selected. And again, we thought we were doing what the city was wanting us to do. So I'm going to respond to a couple of the items that were brought up. As far as the property values, we did do, which I provided with all the commissioners, we hired a licensed Kansas City appraiser to do what we call an impact study on this particular location. It's a long, in-depth impact study, and I want you all to look at it. It basically says they've run several comps of where towers are currently located in Liberal, and they have found that it does not lower property values. So that's been submitted as part of our application. And we also have a structural letter from Sabre Tower Company as far as the falling of the towers. Number one, these monopoles, I've been doing this for a long time, never seen one go down. But this letter, that it's a signed and sealed structural letter stating that these towers are designed to collapse in on themselves. So as far as falling like a tree, they just don't do that. They're designed to collapse in on themselves. And it was also brought up that somebody had climbed a tower. I heard that at the last meeting, and that's very sad. I'm sorry to hear that. But with these monopoles, they remove the pegs up to 50 feet, meaning there's no way to climb this. You can't, there's no pegs. So when they go out to service it, they bring pegs, and they'll put the holes in the pegs, and then that way they can climb. So they do that for safety reasons. Unless you can hug, I just don't see somebody shimmying up a monopole. It just doesn't happen. And as far as the ice, we've talked about the ice, and, the instance he brought up about somebody having an icicle go through his windshield, I guarantee you, he was under the tower. So, you're not going to be under the tower unless you're within our lease area, which you shouldn't be because it's locked, and it's, they have many locks on them. There will be a lock on the access 8 coming off from North Kane Road, excuse me, and then there'll be a second lock on the lease area of the fence itself. So they're locked up tight. So as far as the icicles blowing, we have asked the structural company to look at that. We've never been asked for that before, but in my opinion, I've been around a lot of towers, and they do get ice on them. And monopoles particularly, when the ice melts, it comes straight down. I mean, if there's wind blowing, I don't know that a piece of ice can blow. We are 188 feet from the closest residence. The city allows us, the city's code is required to be 150 feet. We are 188 feet, so we're more than the 150 feet. So, as far as ice blowing that far, I don't think it happens. I just don't. And pretty much that's really all I had to say. We're really looking for an approval here. We're willing to work with the city. AT&T does want this site, and we're here to get an approval. So I appreciate your time, and I will be here for answer any of your questions.
And also representatives from the property owner are here as as well, if you have questions for them. Thank you, Mr. Clark.
Is that for me? Okay,
No,
thank you.
I was letting them know that there was representatives of the property owner were here.
On this part, should we allow them to at least come up, state their names, and state in favor or against? The property owners. I imagine some of them.
No, I'm talking
here.
the
country
country club representatives.
Well, I'm also curious
Okay.
in what the residents are interested in,
Okay. Well,
if any of them are interested in coming up. You guys okay with that? Should we at least ask? Well, right now, we've limited it off to 10 minutes for pro, 10 minutes for con.
Oh, well, I mean, that's what I'm saying, they could talk in that time though, right? Oh, you're saying
No,
10,
yeah,
he ate up the whole 10 minutes is what you're saying?
Right.
Oh, okay. I thought that was per person. I
No.
thought we were being here all night.
Well, that was the goal, is that all the
Okay.
pros were presented at once, and all
Okay, so they,
the
okay.
cons were presented at once, but, I mean, y'all are the boss.
I just asked, everybody's against it, if we could stand up, raise your hand, or what about just concerned citizens?
Yeah. Yep. Items from citizens. Yeah, that's be allowed.
My name's John Schwab. I've lived here about 36 years. Some people here know me, some don't. I'm approaching this at a little different than some people, but I will go about the ice. Now, I've been climbing on drilling rigs for almost 60 years of my life, and I've been on many, many iced up towers. Ice goes all over the place. It's not fun when it's getting hit. Without hard hats and stuff, a lot of bad things happen on a drilling rig. It's no different than a tower. The tower has to twist for the wind, for structure loads. If it doesn't, it's coming down. I've seen many, many towers down in my 3 million miles of driving across this country. But my big concern is, why would we want it there? Is there a real reason for it? Do we need the revenue as a city? If so, why don't we just tear down the country club and make a really nice housing subdivision? It'd be a lot of tax money for this town. If we're not gonna protect the house owners, then that'd be another option to do. I don't know what you guys are gonna do. I've employed people in this town for 36 years. One of these days I won't live here. But it's still a concern to all my friends, the city, what is good for the city. There are many places for towers. Inside the city, around residential, personal opinion, I don't believe so. I think it should be somewhere else. We're running out of ground for anything we want to do, whether we keep the country club and it can sustain itself, or whether we turn it into housing. How many more lots we got in this town? Is it going to grow some more? What if National Beef puts on another 200 or 300 employees? Where are we going to house them? We have no transition houses left for them to go into, and people that can afford nicer houses. We're going to annex something in and then have to fight again about some kind of zoning or towers or anything else. Climbing a tower is not a problem. It's not like climbing a pole. I could climb a 139-foot derrick in a heyday with only my arms, with no ladder. So it can all be done. Common sense is really what needs to be done in this deal. Is it good for our community? Is it not? I don't know what they pay for the lease. I really don't care. It's not enough money to set it there, in my own opinion. Peace of mind for some of the homeowners is probably a bigger deal than having a tower on a piece of ground that's right in the middle of north part of town. Appreciate the time. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Rick Madden. I'm a lifelong resident of Liberal, Kansas. The issue that I look at is that I haven't heard anybody address that I've been around and know. Is there any problem with health issues with a microwave tower that close to a residential area? Okay? I haven't heard that addressed by anybody here. I know it is a concern in other states and cities. If it is there a policy that AT&T is going to put out to these homeowners and their families if their child ends up with cancer because of these microwaves?
To answer that one, there is a state statute that does not allow us to take that into consideration at all.
Okay.
So, yeah, if there is any situation, you'd have to take it up with the state.
Then, the second issue on that being, you're sticking a pole in the ground, it's a lightning rod. Care how you look at it, it's a lightning rod. It's gonna attract lightning. Is there any assurance to the homeowners in that area that it does not arc and get to them and damage their appliances? Has that been addressed by anybody here? Because lightning does arc. They can tell you that it's grounded and it's going to the ground. All you gotta do is look at pictures of lightning and it's there, okay? Third thing that I'm kind of interested about, and I've seen it happen over and over again, the decommission of the tower. When that tower is obsolete, who's responsible for it? Is it just gonna sit there like every other tower that they've built? Is a question I got. I don't know if that's AT&T's responsibility or if that's the country club or whoever's selling them the grounds property. But that would be a concern that I would have. There's decommissioned towers sitting out there by Reslon Cemetery that's been out of service for I don't know how long, and it's still standing there. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I can interject just real quick while she's walking up. As you stated, there is Kansas statute 66-2019 sub F, which deals with different things that this board can consider and not consider. It specifically lists out things that the board cannot base their decision on. As Jose alluded to earlier, one is perceived or alleged environmental effects of radio frequency emissions or exposure. I think the gentleman before kind of brought up as a potential issue. It says perceived, so I mean, if there were actual verified environmental effects, then maybe you could talk about it, but just concerns that people have aren't something the board can take into consideration. Also, we talked about it quite a bit about different places for the tower. Specifically in that same statute, sub 3, it says the board is prohibited from evaluating an application based on the availability of other potential locations for the placement of the wireless support structures or wireless facilities, including but not limited to the option to co-locate instead of construct a new wireless support structure or for substantial modifications of a support structure. So when we talk about other options, while there may be other options out there, that can't be the basis why this board makes the determination to potentially deny this if they do decide to deny this. And that's state law. That's what they're stuck with. At least I'm stuck with advising them to follow if and when whatever decision is made by them. I'm sorry to interject. I just wanted to put that out there.
Hi, my name is Stacy Cope. I am opposed to this tower. I am a property owner in the area.
I think, if you wouldn't mind, and we haven't asked, we had people come up.
Okay.
Would you also give your address for the record so that
Yes.
we have that?
So, 1791 North Calhoun. I'm basically 3 houses down from the tower. And so I'm opposed to this tower. I am also a country club member. The country club, my understanding, is getting the revenue from this tower. So there's some pushback there. I don't understand. It was moved once because of disapproval of the residents in the church where it was going to be put the first time. So somehow, no matter what the state statute says, they moved it. And why it can't be located further, I mean, it obviously can go somewhere in different areas because we moved it once. So I think we need to move it again. And if the board can't vote on that, they can at least kick it back to the zoning commission and look for a new location. Thank you.
Okay.
Would you like to have Mr. Carr's suggestion of have opposition stand up so you can kind of see the?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, one more.
Anyone that's opposed to it, I prefer you can stand up and show your.
Okay, thank you.
Please.
I'm Catherine Romine. Most of you know me by Kitty Romine, and I'm the Seward County Treasurer. I am opposed to this for the same reasons that everybody else is opposed to it. But if you can't consider anything that we're saying, then why are we here? And another thing I wondered was, why would the city be trying to get an AT&T tower in Liberal? I mean, they need the towers, yes, but why would the city be promoting them to get an AT&T tower in a residential district? My next door neighbors, which is Dr. Coons and his wife, they wanted me to express that they are also opposed to this for the same reasons.
Could you give us your address?
Oh, I'm sorry. 1861 North Calhoun.
Thank you.
And then the access to it would be through the alley right behind my house. So all the trucks going through there would be right behind all of our houses, basically. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, I think it's important to point out, not to pass the buck, but just so everyone understands that the previous conversations between AT&T and the city were done by those who are no longer employed or elected at the present time. So, while yes, past city representatives have had that dialogue and worked with choosing a site, it wasn't anyone who's seated now.
And also that was individual, not as a majority of a group.
Yep.
So actually just as a citizen then. I mean, I know they were a commissioner, but when I'm out there by myself, I'm just a citizen.
That's right.
Carrie?
My name is Carrie Mcqueen. My address is 445 Fairway Drive. Janelle, my wife and I have lived in Liberal since 1965. And looking around the crowd tonight, I'm probably one of the few adults in here that remembers when they decided to build a water tower on the country club. And with a lot of assurances from the city of how it'd be maintained. And then the next thing that happened, they wanted to put lights on the top of the water tower. We all survived that. One of the things that Stacy Cope didn't mention, her aunt, who lives right next door to her, who would be here tonight if she hadn't either gotten the flu or COVID, would have opposed the building of this tower. And I'm not going to speak for her reasons because I don't know. My wife called her tonight to ask her if she was going, and we found out she was sick. I don't have the statistics that some of the other presenters have, but I'd ask the commission to give some thought. Oh, one more thing that might be important. I'm a member of the Liberal Country Club, and I may be the longest serving member of the club right now. And I understand that consideration is being given to paying the country club something for this, so I may not be welcome there after tonight. Here's what I want you to consider. Why the people built, where they built, why they bought, where they bought, and if that was one of you, would you want this damn tower in your backyard? That's what I'm asking you to think about. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Claudia Garcia. I live at 721 South Holly Drive. This tower's going up like I'm 5 houses from it. I've got 2 small boys, an 11-year-old and a 7-year-old who love to ride their bikes. I'm opposed to it, obviously. I agree with what everybody who has come up here to say, but not just because it doesn't deal with you guys who aren't close to it. Don't not think about us. It's gonna make changes for us as it's on our street. Our street's already a busy street. There's cars that fly by there. I'm talking as a concerned parent too. You know, if we have to watch our kids and you have to watch your kids, now imagine us with the tower at the end of our street. We're gonna have to ×2, ×5 watch over our kids. So just as a concerned parent, as a concerned neighbor, I've got friends down the street. I've got a neighbor who's right close to where the tower's gonna go by, who's friends with my boys. Think about us concerned parents and what it's gonna do in our lives and our families, how it's gonna deal with our kids. Just like your neighborhoods are safe without a tower at the end of your street, we'd like for it to be safe for our kiddos too. Thanks.
Guess it's time for our questions.
Anyone else? All right, well, I'm sorry.
I'm Rita Isaacs, and I don't live anywhere near there. But you brought up the fact that someone had offered their land, so I'm assuming it's north of Tucker, up in that area there. It's all up in there except for the one house, real nice house. Is that so far away that you can't have more cable, or why can't you use that? If you've been offered and you don't have any opposition there and you have all of these, why can't you consider that one instead of these people? That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think we are presented with a site that's been, it's gone through the planning and zoning process. That's what we have to address. We can't, by statute, can't say you have to put it somewhere else. We have to deal with what's presented to us, just so you know. By statute, that's what we're stuck with.
You say that that one was presented to you?
This one,
No,
this current
just
one.
this one.
And not the
There are
other?
many availabilities, but we can't deny this just based on that.
Oh, I know.
And
Just
so
curious why you couldn't
there
do
was a
that.
property owner to the east of the proposed property that was interested in the site, and we passed that information on to AT&T so that property owner and AT&T could talk, which is, so, yeah.
Does anybody on the commission have questions for anybody here, the presenters or anyone else? Nope.
Not at this time.
All right, so as Rusty said, we're tabling this so that we dot all our i's and cross all our t's and make sure everybody's got notification plus time to react to that. So we will be addressing this at the next commission meeting.
I make a motion, we table ordinance number 4585. for the October 25th meeting.
Yes, we have a motion from Commissioner Lara. Have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Second from Commissioner Lindbrocker. Any discussion?
Only thing I'd say on this part would be for the public to go ahead and appear at that meeting as well. If you're for it, if you're against it, we need to hear from everybody. Everybody's voice counts. There is statute that binds our hands on a lot of what we can do, but the number one thing that we're going to look at is regardless what option we probably pick, there may be litigation. So that's why your voice is important, to see what direction you want us to go. So just letting you all know.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for your input. All right, item number 9, resolution number 2386, submittal of 2023 Heritage Trust Fund grant from Kansas State Historical Society.
It gets much easier from here.
Yes, it does, yeah. Thank you all for coming. Karen.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This is a resolution to ask to apply to the grant through Kansas State Historical Society.
Hold on, let them clear out so we can.
She can't hear you over here.
Okay, Karen.
Now, with this grant, it's similar to the grant that we received for the Greer House. The amount is up to $100,000 that we can apply for. We do have to have matching funds of at least 20%. I will let you know ahead of time, the project is going to be probably a lot more than that, just like the Greer House. So it'll be very similar in the repairs that it needs.
So what are we looking for here? Support? We're looking for approval of the grant application?
Approval of the resolution to apply for the grant.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
A motion that we approve resolution 2386 for submittal of the 2023 Heritage Trust Fund grant.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay. Thank you, Karen.
I'm next.
Okay, item number 10.
So we were contacted recently by KDOT, and every 5 years they do an audit on our Title VI policy, which is a non-discrimination policy that's required for federal and state funding to ensure non-discrimination. And they just recommend the adoption of the Title VI policy. We did go through changes with the lady from KDOT and made those appropriate changes.
Okay, we have policy presented to us, correct?
And the non-discrimination is for any of our programs.
So this would be a general
For
Title
the
VI
city at
policy?
large, yes.
All right.
Make a motion we adopt Title VI policy, I guess.
Yes, that's correct.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, thank you. Item number 11. What's that?
Rodney couldn't be here this evening, so this is the same type of policy, but for the actual program that KDOT requires. He spoke to a different representative with KDOT and made the appropriate changes.
Okay, you have a motion?
Make a motion we approve the Title VI policy for the liberal bus system.
Okay, we have a motion?
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Okay, thank you, Karen. Item number 12, Liberal Recreation Sprinkler System bid. Matt? That's what we really thought they were here for.
Not as entertaining, but, we did go out to bid, sealed bids on the 23rd. Put this out there for, several companies to get out. And, these are companies that have bid before on the sprinkler system. So we did have the deadline this morning, 10 a.m. For bids to be received up at City Hall. We did have an issue where they did come in late. Or is that too loud? I'll talk about it. Okay. There we go. Bids in? All right, we're back at it. So we did receive bids a little late. There we go. So what we're here to ask is if the commission would consider these bids or wanted to go back out to bid. I would recommend on my side of it that we look into taking the bid that is presented. American Fire was there and Prior. I believe Prior is our cheapest and lowest bid. I would recommend that we do take the lowest bid on that.
And just so we're clear, so American's bid arrived via FedEx this morning. Prior's, as you can see on the quote, went to the wrong address. It came to this building, which is the former rec address. Typically, it takes a couple of days for that mail to get to our post office box. Matt did reach out to the company and ask why they didn't submit a bid. They said we did, so we accepted their bid via email. And it's the same bid that we had gotten a couple weeks ago when we did it incorrectly, the process. So I don't know what time did we get this, about 3:30 today? So Americans was there on time, and this one wasn't, but it was a clerical error on the part of their staff.
So, Matt, give us the amounts of the two bid. American was what?
I do not have American.
It's 366,000, and Prior's is 196,000. The primary difference is in the amount of sprinklers that they bid. Prior bid it after a consultation with the fire department and what would meet fire code for the city. Americans goes well above what the recommended amount of sprinklers for the building. It actually sprinkles above the ceiling as well as below, which our fire chief and fire marshal both say is not necessary for that building. So that's why we're recommending the lower bid, because it meets the needs better.
This company they've already done the gym, and they did bring in the water line from
Oh, Prior did the previous one.
Prior, sir.
So what are we looking as far as time frame on this? Assuming that we go with the lower bidder on this, which I hope we do.
So
What are we
that-
looking as far as time frame?
So I would estimate the first of the year, so once you guys award the bid, then those plans go to the state fire marshal for approval. Once we get that approval, then we can issue a start work order. So given the time frame that we looked at before, we're anticipating 60 days at least before we get approval back. And then we're right at Christmas time, so we
I'm
guess
showing
first of the year.
Here, their work days add up to about 105 work days. None of those overlap from the looks of it either. Unless design and material, no, there's no way.
So I meant the first of the year before they start.
Before we can even start.
Yeah.
Then 105 days,
Yeah.
potentially.
And simultaneous work is going on within the center. But getting that approval of the sprinkler plans is the big linchpin.
Right.
I think Matt can go into it, but about 80% of the work we need to reopen the center's already been done. This is the last big obstacle.
This is the big one. This will get the building open, the code footprint has been approved. This really gets the ball going. So while this is all going on, you've got carpet, painting is already about 90% done. We've got some doors we gotta flip, we'll be working on that. And then just getting all the rooms ready for operation. So once the sprinkler system's done, and it's got the steel stamp from the state fire marshal, we're opening doors and we're cooking.
Motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the bid of Pryor for sprinkling the Liberal Rec Center in the amount of $195,910.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Where's the money coming from?
This is 1 cent sales tax, correct?
Yes, it
Capital
would
improvement.
ultimately be funded by streets drainage capital improvements, but we would actually fund it out of the rec center project
Yep.
with streets drainage capital improvements funds.
Okay.
Okay.
Funded, like Chris said. Okay. Out of the streets and drainage, the rec center fund, part of that fund, right? Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? All right. Thank you, Matt. Item number 13, city staff. Nobody say it? Nobody?
No.
All right, city managers report, item number 14.
Very happy about a lot of the things that are happening within the staff. We're making great progress working with the county and the college as well. We had a great meeting today, SCDC, college, county, and myself. So we've got some collaborative things that are going. So between that and some work we're doing with the school, I think things are really seeming unified. I get a lot of comments from the community about how happy they are in the direction that not just the city, but all of Liberal and Seward County are going. So that's, unless you have any questions for me, I'll be quiet.
Can I tell you about 2 projects?
Yes, please, Brad.
I was raising my hand.
Oh.
The ball field maintenance shop out at the baseball fields, the shop's done, the concrete work around it. We have a little bit of concrete work to do in the front, and then we'll be transporting stuff and getting moved in there, and then moving that building over to the park shop for a dry storage area. If you haven't been by Mahiron Park, we're in the process of building a multi-purpose court with 2 additional smaller basketball courts on it. We hope to have it, I would say midweek next week, we'll be ready to open. And I want to thank Karen for doing all this Title VI stuff. The state sent it to us and we were dumbfounded by it. And she remembered when that happened 5 years ago. So we appreciate her doing that for us, getting us back on track. That's all I got.
All right. Thanks. Okay, item number 15, items from commissioners.
I'll pass tonight.
Jose?
Well, I just want to say thank you to everybody, both who came, who's still here, still online. Your voice matters to what the city decides to do and how we take our votes. Thank you to the city staff for everything they've been doing. Kind of to touch on that project that Brad's working on, that's a completion of the promises that the city had made through the 1 cent sales tax. So this first year, I think the commission had kind of stepped back and we're taking it easy to see where we're going to go and what direction we all want to go and the city wants to go. But there will be projects from the 1 cent sales tax that we will be beginning to complete and trying to finish the promises that were made every time that tax gets passed. We went to the league, had a good time there. There's lots of information. We'll probably be sitting down with Rusty and discussing a lot of ideas that they have and just the way Kansas is doing a lot of business. So I'm pretty excited about what we learned there and some of the things we brought back. So I think that's all I got for now. Thank you to everybody.
Chris?
I just appreciate everybody reaching out to me and calling me today because my phone blew up all day long on this tower thing. So I learned a lot, and I've learned that a couple people on the planning and zoning board lied to me today. So we were going to discuss that later.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, okay. Nobody had mentioned it. I want to note that Second Street is open east and west the entire length, which I know we've still got a little bit of work that is, well, if it's timely or not, due to AT&T, they want to put a line in along Second Street. So we're sort of waiting on that process to happen, which I think they're going to work in conjunction with the contractor to make sure that gets done, so.
And they were up there today working on it.
Okay, that's good to know, but it's great to be able to drive the entire length of Second Street again, which is tremendous, and always, thank you to staff for your hard work. I certainly appreciate it, and I know a lot of people do, but just say it for sure, so. All right, that's all I have. Item number 16, the vouchers.
I'll make a motion that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $657,235.14.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I just want to note that this voucher amount is way smaller than it has been, and that just makes me feel good. I don't know. So that's all I have to say. Any other discussion? All right, all those in favor? Okay, thank you very much.